Hello class, we'd like to finish up Unit B by taking a look at Chapter 3. This lecture will cover all of Chapter 3 in a much abbreviated form, so make sure you've read Chapter 3 carefully at least a couple times. So let's take a look then at what we'll be covering for the purposes of this lecture. Section 1 is the basic principles on which our Constitution is established. Section 2, how those formal amendments are created. And Section 3, informal. The 6 basic principles we'll be covering in an activity in class, and we'll get some exercises on knowing what those are. The Constitution sets out the basic principles for which our government are established, the 3 branches, as well as how our government is put together. It is a fairly brief document. It's readable, and it's a living document that can be added and has been 27 times. And it's printed in the back of your book so you can read the Constitution. And there is an exercise that we're going to be doing where you go through and find different powers and what article and what section it's in so that you can get yourself somewhat familiarized with the Constitution. The other thing to keep in mind, it's got the preamble, which we talked about, which outlines the purposes that the framers of the Constitution had, and then the 7 different articles followed by the 27 amendments that I mentioned already. The preamble, which says the purposes for this new form of government. Article 1 outlines the legislative branch. Article 2, the executive. Article 3, the judicial. So those are the main ones that cover the 3 branches and how you can how you get to become in Congress, or how you get to be elected president or appointed to the Supreme Court, what qualifications, and then what powers as well, and how they work together. There are 4 ways you can get a formal amendment. Usually there's proposed by Congress, and then it can go across and get ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures. For example, for us it would be the legislature in Lansing. So if at least 38 state legislatures approve, then it would be an amendment to the Constitution. Otherwise, if it was proposed by Congress, there could be a special convention held, and those delegates could also approve. Some amendments could be begun through a national convention and then go either be approved by the state legislatures or by special delegates at a constitutional convention. Collectively, the first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights, and those outline your basic rights of freedoms, your freedoms of speech, of religion, freedom to carry firearms, your freedom from improper arrest or imprisonment, you're free to a fair trial. All these things the first 10 amendments do. We're going to be doing several activities in class surrounding those Bill of Rights, those first 10 amendments that basically protect you from your own government's powers over you. Then you can look at some of the other memorable amendments that you see. Women finally get their vote with the 19th Amendment in 1920, quite late in history. The experiment with prohibition was tried in the 18th Amendment and then repealed in the 21st. The 22nd Amendment in 1951 officially limited the amount of terms a president could win. Voting age at 18, which passed in 1971 due to pressures during the Vietnam era. So you can see by looking at the year that the amendment was ratified, what type of atmosphere was going on, why that amendment would be approved at that time. So look that over and give it some thought. An informal amendment is a process which basically over time things change without an actual amendment. Congress could take action, and that's basically then becomes part of how we do business. Same thing with the president. over a process of years of a president acts a certain way, it's not checked or balanced by the other two branches, it then in effect becomes a change to the Constitution. So all three branches, by their actions, if not checked by the other branch, then would de facto become sort of an amendment, or we call it an informal amendment to the Constitution and how we do business. The fourth would be then the political parties. And we are a two-party system, so if the Democrats or the Republicans were to take certain actions, and the last is just by sheer custom of how we operate as America. So the executive action the president could take could then amount to what we call informal amendments, such as using military power, making executive agreements, court decisions as well, that the Supreme Court can make a decision that basically changes the course of our country and its authority. So those are just a few examples of informal changes through custom or through the actions of one or more of the branches of government or actions of the political party that then become part of the fabric of the nation.